I'm Donna Toffel. I'm with Team Toffel Real Estate. You've heard Audra and I give a little introduction several times at the meetings. We have a friend here with us, Sandra McDermott. She's the owner and president of Coast Title. She's going to add a little to our presentation this morning. Before I start, though, we just want to do a shout out to a couple of our friends in our lead group. Gary's not here, but Gary with Go Green helped us with a situation that we had at one of our new listings. There had been smokers in the house, and he happened to be talking about this new treatment that he had. Besides doing the carpet cleaning, had a new treatment for smoke. So Audra called and we got him over to the house, and believe it or not, the one-day treatment did make a big difference, and we were able to get a contract on the house within 7 days. So I'm sorry he's not here. I'll have to give him a personal shout out, but it was really effective. So keep that in mind if you have a situation with a house that maybe you're involved with, or you have a home that's been rented and you have a tenant that smoked that wasn't supposed to smoke. The process really worked. And then a shout out to Scott. He's been preparing 2 times for us. Carrabba's prepared dinners for our customers. After we close, we typically bring them a dinner in the evening so that they don't have to worry about where are the dishes, where are the coffee cups, where are the wine glasses, most importantly. And we're bringing dinner with them, and Scott's team is putting them together, and they're just fabulous. They're packaged very nicely, and that's working out fun for us to use as a closing gift. So 2 shout outs for our group. So we sell real estate, as you know, and I've told you, I've done this for over 30 years. I've been in Palm Coast for 20 years. I started selling real estate full-time in California, and then in Maine, and then the last 20 years here in Palm Coast. I started my real estate career in title insurance, though. In college, I worked for a real estate attorney, and I managed a title insurance company for him after I left college. And so, starting in title insurance, I always said we were the caboose. We were at the back of the train because everything kind of falls in your lap at the end, and you hope that the transaction will go smoothly, but that actually is where a lot of our interesting stories occur. So we asked Sandra to join us today because she happens to be sitting in the caboose when we're doing our real estate transactions. The realtors are the engineers. We're at the front. We start the process. We're driving the train because we write the contract. So whether we're representing a seller or a buyer, we're starting the process with the contract. And then we have all these cars behind us. We've got the inspectors, the appraisers, the surveyors, the lenders, and they've all got their own car, and we have to hope that they're doing what they're supposed to do and they're staying on track with us. Because if somebody goes off track, then the little caboose at the end is upside down, and they're the ones that have to pull everything together at the end. So that being said, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Audra. She's going to give you a few real estate statistics for our area that I think you'll find interesting, and then Sandra will share a few stories. So my business partner, Audra Rhodes.
Good morning. As you've probably noticed, every week when we speak, I don't look forward to public speaking. It's not one of my high points. So I have the easy part today. I'm just going to be giving you some statistics, and also the boring part.
They want you with
you can't hear me?
Yeah, stay close.
I wanted to start with a comparison from last March of 2017 to March of 2018. In closed sales, we were down 7.6%. 249 sales to 230 this March. Our median sales price, however, has inched up a little bit. We're up 3.6%. In 2017, the median sale price was $219,000 to $226,000 this year. And this is for single-family homes. This doesn't take into effect land or condominiums or duplexes or commercial. Let's see. Time to contract is down, which is a good thing. We're at 55 days this year compared to 66 days last year. And the median sale price of listing price to sale has gone up a little bit too. We're up 0.3% to 96% of listing price at sales. Breaking this down just a little bit, if we wanted to look within the city of Palm Coast alone, residential, currently in inventory, we have 530 single-family homes for sale, which is not a lot. And the pricing starts from $105,000 for a home over in Palm Harbor to $2.5 million in the sanctuary. Elsewhere in the county, currently there's just over 300 homes for sale, residential, starting at $60,000 in West County to $2.8 million in Hammock Dunes. If we were to look at condominiums, it's opposite. Most of our condominiums, as you know, are over on the beach side. In Flagler County, not considering the city of Palm Coast, there's 225 condominiums currently for sale, ranging in price from $119,000 in Flagler Beach to $2.3 in the Hammock. Within Palm Coast, there's only 76 condos for sale at this time. $113,000 for a Shangri-La, up to $469,000 in the Tidelands for a condo on the Intercoastal Waterway. That being said, with inventory being so low, we really rely on new construction to keep the market going. The month of April this year, within the county, we had 89 residential building permits. And for May, so far, we have 51. And then just to end this, the statistics, excuse me. If you think back to the Great Recession and how many for sale signs that you saw going down every street and hearing about foreclosures and short sales, in the last 2 months, the month of March, we only had 5 foreclosures, and in April, we had 3. So now I'm going to hand this over to Sandra.
Come on over here.
They're my friends, so I'm really not offended that they call me the caboose. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am brand new to the group. It's a pleasure to see you all. I see a lot of faces that I have not met before. So, again, my name is Sandra McDermott. As Donna said, I own Coast Title Insurance Agency here in Palm Coast. I've been here for 31 years myself. This is home to me. So, again, it's a pleasure to meet all of you. The closing process is interesting to say the least. Do we have any mortgage folks in the group? Maybe mortgage people, other realtors in the group? Okay. This information is good for everybody. In particular, getting ready for today's meeting, Audra and Donna said, would you touch on surveys and would you touch on fraud? Everybody likes to hear juicy fraud stories. So when the title company gets involved, of course, is at the very end of the process when, as Donna said, the realtor does their thing and we go through the banks and all that, which a lot of customers are paying cash these days. New construction is booming, just as they said. One little fun fact, I could not believe it, but last week with the weather such that it was, I had my best incoming contract week in probably 10 years with the crazy weather that we've had. So congratulations to these ladies. I know they are super, super busy. So again, going through the closing process, we get the contract in hand. We start working with a lender. And what do they ask us to do? Have a survey done. For those of you that own property, keep your survey handy. You never know when you go to sell your property or you're interested in looking for a new property. Those become very handy because they're expensive to have new ones done, first of all, and they range from about $350 to $500, or if you have property out in West County, they can go up into the thousands of dollars. The reason I say to hold on to those is because at closing, you can do a survey affidavit to transfer onto the buyer and save them the expense of having to have a new one done. That's one reason to hold one or to have one. Sometimes when a new survey is done, there might be a discrepancy if you've used one surveyor versus another surveyor. Sometimes there are dispute over boundary lines. I brought a couple of surveys here. I know you can't see these very well, but in Palm Coast, every single lot in Palm Coast automatically has an encumbrance and encroachment on it. Do you know what it is? Want to take a stab at it? Okay. Yes?
The swale.
Swales, driveways, excellent. Driveways, there is a perimeter easement on every single Palm Coast property, 5 feet. That's to allow the power company, the water company to come in and do what they might need to do. So automatically there are encroachments. Those we're not concerned about. We have, on occasion, a swimming pool that encroaches into that easement. That does become an issue. Typically the rule is if something encroaches more than a foot, we need to address that. But a major structure, even less than a foot, can be very costly. You may have heard of variances. Sometimes the county or the city, wherever the municipality is that you're working with, they will give variances to pull homes forward, push them back, side to side. But surveys are very, very relevant. I could tell you some juicy survey stories, but we don't have a lot of time. But the one that you may be aware of in the last couple of years, where homes actually get built on the wrong property. Surveys are very, very significant. I'm going to tell you, in 31 years, I have dealt with that about 4 times, right here in Flagler County, no less. Fortunately, in that scenario that I mentioned that happened most recently, owners ended up swapping property. They were, pretty much identical lots, except that one had a big, beautiful home on it and the other was a vacant lot. But that worked out okay. But in all seriousness, surveys are very interesting to look at. They must be certified to whoever purchases the survey, the title company, the lender, and the insurance underwriter, and the bank. So again, if we had more time, I'd get into these, and sometime I'll come back just for fun and show you some really interesting ones. So if you have questions on surveys, certainly I can answer those for you as throughout the meeting. The second thing I'll switch in, which is just unfortunately we have to discuss, fraud with regard to real estate transactions, and just fraud period. In particular, the run-in trends. The trend now is wire transaction fraud. It was targeting buyers to get them to send their funds to these, we'll just call them fraudsters. I can think of other names they should be called, okay? But anyway, that's old news. Guess who they're honing in on now? The seller, because that's where the big dollars are. You cannot believe this, but it is, in particular, the realtor accounts that are being targeted. Many of them have the Yahoo accounts. Those are easily hackable, unfortunately. The fraudster will step in literally and hijack the transaction. I hate to use such strong words, but that's what's happening. They step in, they pose as the realtor, they start communicating with buyers and sellers, take charge of our closing. And I will tell you right now, this happened to one of my customers about 8 months ago. They were selling a property. Guess what happened? Hacker steps in. They were told exactly what to do, so much so that the customer could even call. They provided a phone number and they gave them false information. So beware. If you're doing any transaction, whether it's a closing or any transaction period, the very best advice that I can give you, pick up the phone. The fraudsters have forced us to go back a little bit old school. In our industry, we prefer wire transactions because they are the most secure. They are the fastest means to transmit funds. I might be the last holdout title company that will accept a cashier's check, but we can call and verify those. I've had fraudulent cashier's checks. As I said, I could spend the day with you and tell you fraud stories that are very frightening. Just beware, be diligent. If you are sending funds anywhere for any reason, whether for a real estate transaction or just period, make sure you obtain the instructions from the lending institution, not secondhand from anybody. Lending institution, and then pick up the phone and call and verify those. I can promise you, if you ever get a set of wiring instructions and verify them, there will never be a time when those instructions will change. The fraudsters will send the second set of instructions, and in our case, it was even a bank in Maryland. Instructions changed, and the third thing is they get very aggressive wanting you to go ahead and send the funds. For example, with closings, they want you to send the funds at least 5 days ahead of time, because guess what the time to grab a transfer back before it goes out of the country is? 72 hours. So they are wise to every aspect of perpetrating this fraud. So be careful, get your instructions, regardless of what your transaction is you're completing, get your instructions and call the bank to verify, because unfortunately the hackers, as it was explained to me in my continuing education seminars, it's as if they are standing right behind the person and just hijacking all of the information. They see everything that's being typed, every instruction given, and they know enough about the various businesses. They can talk the language, watch for misspellings. If you get an email in, watch, because they will even hijack your email address, but they'll change it slightly, whether it be a .com, they might change it to a .net or something. Just watch your reply. And so we're transacting that type of business. Okay, so just be cautious. There are other types of fraud happening. The other predominant one where we see, can anybody tell me the #1 document utilized to perpetrate real estate fraud? The #1 by far document used to perpetrate real estate fraud. Thank you, that's exactly right. And guess who's doing it? Immediate family members. Be careful, that's a very powerful document as well. Whether you're setting up bank accounts, transacting real estate business, whatever the case is, do not use a power of attorney for any reason unless your reason is, super legitimate. I don't know how we are on time, but as I said, a lot of interesting things to be aware of. Don't need to be paranoid, but on the other hand, when you're talking about transferring funds and giving anybody power to act on your behalf, even banks will no longer notarize those documents because they understand they don't want liability later. But unfortunately, it's family members usually perpetrating the fraud under a power of attorney. Okay.
When we knew that we were coming up for our presentation time, Audra and I were talking about what would be interesting to the group, other than what we do every week. Say, we are terrific realtors. We wanted to do something interesting for you. And Charles with Legal Shield had just done a presentation for us maybe 4 weeks ago, and he touched on fraud and how prevalent that is. And even for me, knowing what I know from the transactions we've been involved in, I was thinking fraud like in a big picture, that it wasn't really affecting me here in Flagler County. But when Audra and I were talking, she said, we really should talk about some of the fraudulent transactions that we've heard about right here in our county, because kind of think, well, we're in Palm Coast, we're in Flagler Beach, pretty safe here. But it's amazing what is actually taking place. And Sandra, of course, being the caboose and at the end of the transaction, and the one that's handling all the money, she sees and is involved with these at a very, very intimate level, let's say. So, do you have any questions about the statistics that Audra provided or information that Sandra provided? Any questions?
Thorough and interesting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
So you guys were saying like 500 and some houses for sale or properties, and that's a low number? What would you, to me that sounds like a lot, but
it does.
What would you like to see?
Well, when our market was, when we were in a declining market, as an example, we had almost 4,000 homes in Palm Coast on the market at one time. So 500 is low inventory. And the interesting, and people are saying this to me constantly, we're in a really strong market, right? And I go, well, it depends. I mean, it really depends. Are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Are you a renter? What are you looking to purchase or unload? Are you looking to buy some new construction? Because the new construction is very strong now. We have a lot of new homes on the market and coming on the market and committed to the market. The resale market is, as Audra mentioned, we're just seeing, even though our inventory is so low, I mean, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and so typically, you have your inventories low, then your prices are screaming up. But that's not really happening. We are seeing a teeny tiny increase in pricing, but with our inventory so low on the resale market, we also have to consider the builder's market as well. And so there is a lot of inventory there.
About how many homes are there in Flagler County and how many in Palm Coast?
Oh boy, total homes. Do you have a guess?
I don't.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to.
Population's at 85.
Yeah, I'd have to guess on that. But I could get that number for you. Peggy?
Is there a comparison? I don't know. I'm not selling my house, so I'm not getting it. Is there an equal comparison on the average price of the cost of the new house compared to the house that's selling? Or is it going to depend on the house location and everything?
It does. Yeah. Even when you have a resale home, if you're looking at say a popular holiday model from 2005. It really depends what upgrades they did. Does it have a porch in the back? Does it not? Where is it located? What's the condition? So you have to really take all of that into consideration.
So, I know about, land, surveys, I have those, and actually had one checked, so we were right, but that's okay, always check. You put those little things in the ground now, so you don't have to worry about all that, but, out in the street and the ground. What about having a home survey for value? Do you do that, or, I have a homeowner's insurance policy, okay? It's estimated on, I guess that's how they estimate the value, so you insure that value kind of thing. Does it pay to have anybody come in and do an actual survey on the house, or just?
That's
You're-
appraisal.
Yeah, you're talking about appraisal. I'll tell you, and this is a funny thing because now you said this is like for real estate agents, like I have a question, but I'm not interested in selling. But what we do, I think it's really important, and I call them, sorry guys, but I call it like getting a baseline mammogram. I think it's really important to know the value of your home. One of the, I will say, issues, is that when people, now everything, nobody buys or sells in a vacuum. Everything's available to you online, which is terrific because the buyers can come in and they have an idea of what they can purchase and what they have to spend, and that really makes our job easier at that level. For sellers, it's a little more difficult because when you're searching online, you're looking at listing prices, and the listing prices are always the wish list price, and then you're getting down to what the actual appraised value is of the property. And so when I'm going in and talking to sellers, they're starting off with my wish list is this number because that's what I see the homes are valued for in my neighborhood. Well, that's what the homes are listed for. The listing prices and the sold prices are very tight right now. So we're typically looking at only a 3% variation between what we're listing the properties for and what they're selling for. So you are fairly accurate when you're looking at those numbers. But even for my customers, when I'm going back and talking to customers, they've been in their house for 10 years. And I'll say, let me come by and see the house, because you must have done improvements in the last 10 years. And we'll just stop by and we'll look at the house and chat with them, and we'll do a market analysis just so they have it, so that when they are ready, they'll have an idea, well, our home was worth this in 2018, now we're getting ready to sell in 2020, and people watch the market. I mean, it's a big investment for anyone that owns real estate, so people are watching the market. You'll have an idea. If nothing else, you have an idea if the market seems to be improving or if it seems to be declining from what you're reading. So we're always willing to come out and do that for you. Sure. I'm
How
sorry.
many licensed realtors are there in Flagler County?
Oh boy,
A lot.
a lot. Yeah.
How many are
Is it-
active, though?
yeah. We've
10%.
I would say considering, because when you have a Florida real estate license, you can sell real estate anywhere in the state. So when you consider the number of realtors that we have in our association here in Flagler, and then the number of realtors that are in Volusia County and St. Johns County, just alone, that sell also in Flagler County, I think we're probably pushing close to 2,000 now. So there's a lot of choices that you have. Yeah. Absolutely. Just want to be sure that you get somebody that's engineering your train, that's watching all the cars in the back, and is communicating really well with the title company, because unfortunately we get down to a situation at the end where things have fallen apart. A train fell off the track halfway through and nobody realizes it. So it's an important job that we have, and we have to be sure that we don't just write the contract. We have to engineer it all the way to the end. Yeah.
First of all, I want to compliment you on that metaphor, because I really like it. You want to make sure you don't get railroaded in a real estate transaction.
Yeah. There you go.
Good one.
That could be our slogan.
My question is, I happen to be looking at the tax rolls recently for properties in my neighborhood,
Hmm.
and the last line is something I just don't know. Protected value. What is protected value?
Oh boy, you can probably explain that a little
It has
better
to
than
do
I
with
can.
the portability of your property tax. If you've been in a home for a specific amount of period of time, your taxes.
And you've
Well, let me just
homesteaded.
Step back a minute. To be homesteaded in the state of Florida, it's a great value. Not only do you have that deduction off of your taxes, the $50,000 deduction, but it keeps your taxes from going up. The cap is 3% a year if you have a homestead, that your taxes can go up, which is great, especially in a rising market, because you don't want to become priced out of your home. Now, that being said, if you're in a home and you're ready to upgrade, your family's growing, maybe you want to be by the water, if you sell your home, you have a certain amount of portability that you can take with you to your next home, and then the taxes, the property appraiser's office will reassess on that. And when you're looking at property and you see what the taxes are for a home, they're going to be reassessed after that home changes hands. You might see a house, say off of Florida Park Drive, and their taxes are $500 a year. It's not going to stay that way. So it's very important with your lender, the title company, that you take that into consideration right in the beginning, because it is going to change. That person could have been in that home 25 years and had a homestead. The property appraiser's office is super user friendly. If you call down there or use their website, anybody that I talk to that we're listing their home and they're going to be purchasing again, that's one of the first things I have them do, is talk to the property appraiser's office to see what their tax situation will be with the new home.
So would it be a correct interpretation to say that protected value is going to come off the top of the next assessed valuation?
That I can't answer.
I don't think it comes off the top, but that, and I'm
formulated.
sorry, yeah, it's formulated so that it transfers with you, so that you do have some benefit to moving. You're actually sort of moving your homestead, and so the value that was protected during your homestead period is moved to the new property as well. Sorry, we're not explaining it as well as we could, but
It gives me a feel for it. Thank you.
yes. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the honor to speak to you.